This video is sponsored by JumpShotTrainer.com. Perfect your jumper using JumpShotTrainer.com, as their method is proven to increase your shooting accuracy by eliminating resistance from your offhand. You can learn more by visiting the links in the description box below. Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zach Lee. So we have a pretty interesting story to discuss regarding Kawhi Leonard, and this came out yesterday, and it's just something that I've been thinking about because it's that strange. So for those of you that aren't aware with what just happened, the Toronto Raptors just hired Kawhi Leonard's best friend, one of his best friends, James Castleberry, and he's going to be some sort of assistant for them under their new head coach, Nick Nurse. And now this isn't the first time that Kawhi Leonard's friend James Castleberry had a job with an NBA team. He was also some type of assistant for the San Antonio Spurs. And no one's really quite sure what his role was on that team, and no one has any idea what his role will be for the Toronto Raptors, and that's what makes it so interesting. See, the initial reaction to this is that the Toronto Raptors made this move to try and bribe Kawhi Leonard to stay long term. Kawhi Leonard's about to be a free agent. The Toronto Raptors are absolutely terrified of the possibility of him leaving them this upcoming offseason. That would mean that they just traded away DeMar DeRozan for nothing at all, and that's the last thing they'd want to happen. So in order to try and butter up Kawhi Leonard a little bit, they go out and hand a bag to one of his closest friends, one of his friends that he's been friends with since high school, and they even played some basketball together in college as well. And you have to remember that the Toronto Raptors tried to do a similar thing with Danny Green. The San Antonio Spurs weren't originally going to include Danny Green in the trade package with Kawhi Leonard, but the Toronto Raptors demanded Danny Green in that trade, not necessarily because they see him as a valuable piece for their team moving forward, but because Danny Green was one of Kawhi Leonard's closest friends in the NBA, and they thought if they brought him along, that would also help Kawhi Leonard stay and give them a guy that's a median that they can go through to talk to Kawhi Leonard, since we all know that Kawhi likes to stay to himself. The Raptors can use Danny Green to see what's going on in Kawhi's mind. But it turns out that that wasn't enough, because not too long ago, a couple of days ago, I believe, Adrian Wojnarowski reported that he had sources close to Kawhi Leonard saying that Kawhi would still prefer to play with either the Clippers or the Lakers after this season. And when the Toronto Raptors heard that, you best to believe they were terrified. The season hadn't even started yet, and he's contemplating his next move, most likely meaning that he's out of there. So what did the Toronto Raptors do? They go add some more brass to their team, go get another median for Kawhi Leonard, aka his best friend James Castleberry. And of course the Spurs have no need for James Castleberry anymore because they don't have Kawhi Leonard. Why are they going to keep a guy on payroll who has no specific role on the team but to be a median for Kawhi Leonard? Which begs the question of, why does Kawhi Leonard need these medians in the first place? Why can't he just be a typical regular player who the GM or the owner can call into their office and get a feel for how he's feeling about the team? I don't know any other star player or any other player in the NBA period that seems as high maintenance as Kawhi Leonard is, just because he refuses to speak or build these connections, anything of the sort. It's a really confusing mess that Kawhi Leonard has put both the San Antonio Spurs and now seemingly the Toronto Raptors in. And speaking of Kawhi Leonard, we have to take a look at this story from another angle too. Now this is going to be 100% speculation, but I just want to get all the possibilities out there. I'm not saying that this is true or that it's not true. It very well could be, but I'm just trying to look at this thing from as many angles as possible. And the angle that I want to look at it now from is the one of Kawhi Leonard holding the Toronto Raptors hostage. See, think about it. Think about the situation that Kawhi Leonard is in from Kawhi Leonard's perspective. He knows that he's about to be a free agent, and he knows that the Toronto Raptors are terrified of the thought of him leaving them in free agency, and that they do anything in their power to get him to stay with the team long term. He knows that, and now he's trying to use that to manipulate the Toronto Raptors to doing whatever he wants them to do while he's with the team. So maybe Kawhi Leonard approaches the Toronto Raptors, or has one of his people, one of his managers approach the Toronto Raptors and say, that they would like to hire James Castleberry as an assistant for the team, get Kawhi Leonard's friend on payroll since, he's got to get his bread too, or else he'll not be able to be with Kawhi all the time. And maybe at first the Toronto Raptors said no, they didn't want to pay a guy who would have no specific role on the team, an assistant that doesn't help with anything. Why would they do that? So they say no. And then this is where Kawhi Leonard comes into play, rubbing his hand like a mafia, and has a story leaked about him still being interested in leaving for the Clippers or the Lakers in free agency. He leaks that story because now he knows that will once again instill the fear into the Toronto Raptors of him leaving. And now that that fear is there, the Toronto Raptors management gets together and says, what can we do to help make Kawhi Leonard happy, to keep him here in Toronto? Because if we lose him, we lose everything and we have to completely blow up this team and start to rebuild. And then they remember that Kawhi Leonard wanted his best friend James Castleberry on the payroll, so they decide to bring him in, and Kawhi Leonard has successfully manipulated the Toronto Raptors to hiring his best friend. Like I said, this is completely speculation, but it is another angle to look at this story from. And based off everything that we've seen from Kawhi Leonard action-wise for about the past year, I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that he'd do something like this. And then yesterday, this is like a tangent story to this one, but it's something that does link back to the story that I found to be extremely interesting. Look, yesterday, a picture surfaced of Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Cedi Osman working out together. They were practicing together, and this was a very strange picture for a few reasons. First of all, you had the three best small forwards, arguably the three best players in the NBA, all working out together. That's crazy in and of itself. And then Kawhi Leonard to be caught on picture working out with other guys, I don't think this has ever happened in his entire career. But if you examine the picture even more closely, it gets you thinking about what Kawhi Leonard's ultimate goal is here. First off, he's wearing his own merchandise. You see his logo on his shorts. But if you look at the guy on the far right, that right there is James Castleberry wearing the Toronto Raptors shorts, just showing you right there how close Kawhi and Castleberry are to one another. And then Kawhi Leonard being in this picture wearing his merchandise. Let's talk about this for a second, because this isn't something that seems very Kawhi Leonard like. This seems like a marketing strategy for Kawhi Leonard. Now, I've said it before that I believe the reason that Kawhi Leonard wanted out of San Antonio was to get to a bigger market where he can make a bigger name for himself, which sounds bizarre because throughout the first 5 years of his career, that's the last thing that you would think that Kawhi Leonard would want, since he was such a quiet and reserved guy. But now look at him hanging out with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and having his picture posted on social media. That never happens. And then of course, once again, he's wearing his own brand. He's trying to market himself, become more of a household name. And that's why he wants to go to LA to play for either the Lakers or the Clippers. And the guy behind this, I still believe 100% is his uncle. Kawhi Leonard's uncle is telling him what to do. Kawhi Leonard's uncle is having him wear his merch, getting these pictures with LeBron James and Kevin Durant to get more eyes on him and his merch. And if Kawhi Leonard does go to LA to play for the Clippers or the Lakers and he's wearing his merch everywhere, that's the best publicity stunt you can do, because Kawhi Leonard in LA is going to have more eyes on him than Kawhi Leonard playing anywhere else, maybe New York, but I think he'd prefer LA still. So I truly just believe that it's a real messed up situation for the Toronto Raptors. They took a huge gamble by trading for Kawhi Leonard, and who knows, maybe he does stay, but if this is his uncle behind all these moves, like I truly believe it is, and then Kawhi Leonard and his uncle are having him manipulate the Raptors organization like this, having him hire his best friends and things of that nature, and then if he leaves after this season, that'll just be a jerk move by Kawhi Leonard, like an 100% jerk move to manipulate a team like this and then just flat out leave them. And that is going to be today's question of the day. Do you think that the Raptors are panicking and hire James Castleberry just as a knee-jerk reaction to the rumors? Or do you think it was Kawhi Leonard who manipulated the Raptors into hiring James Castleberry and was leaking the rumors? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below using the hashtag QOTD for your chance to be featured in the next video. And speaking of which, in the previous video, after Ben Simmons said the goal of the Philadelphia 76ers is to get revenge on the Boston Celtics, I asked you guys, who do you think is going to win more championships, the Philadelphia 76ers or the Boston Celtics? And here's what you had to say. Celtics without a doubt. Despite the salary cap situation, they have tons of options through key players and draft picks. I say one of Philly's biggest downfalls is bringing in big free agents or making game-changing trades. They were blessed to have Embiid and Simmons in the draft, but it's going to take more than that to overcome Boston's potential. Assuming Kyrie stays in Boston and they can find a suitable replacement for Horford when he regresses, I think the Celtics will win more championships. They have lots of great defenders and two-way players that can switch on to 4 different positions and have the second best coach in Brad Stevens. They were able to beat the Sixers without their 2 best players, and the Sixers roster has arguably gotten worse since then. Celtics have the better coach, more draft picks, better GM, and overall the better team. If Kyrie leaves and goes to the Knicks, assuming the rumors, they will still have a developing Tatum, Brown, plus Gordon Hayward. Furthermore, they will have the best coach in the NBA in the long run since Popovich is retiring soon. I'd say about 90% of you guys were commenting that the Boston Celtics will win more championships than the Philadelphia 76ers when both of these two teams' runs come to an end. But I do think a lot of this depends on Markelle Fultz. See, if Markelle Fultz can come back on the same trajectory that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid comes back, where he looks like he's destined to become a top 10 player in the NBA and some type of NBA freaking legend, well, that's going to change the dynamic quite a bit if you ask me. And if that happens, I don't think the Sixers will have as much problem landing at least one free agent eventually, since all these free agents will look at Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Markelle Fultz and be like, well, if I go there, that's a championship instantly. So once again, I think it all depends on Markelle Fultz. If he comes back looking amazing, it'll be really close between the Sixers and the Celtics. However, if he never comes back the same player as we thought he was going to be, I definitely have to give the edge to the Boston Celtics. Anyways, that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you once again for watching, and if you enjoyed, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you once again for watching, but until next time, I'm out of here. Peace!